YouTube. This is a Jackson PS-5 Performer Series bass in very dark purple, burgundy, plum. Go for plum, I think. I could probably give it a wipe before. It's a very shiny guitar. Does have a few sort of surface scratches, which to be honest would probably cut out if I could be bothered. I got this. Well, actually, one of my pals bought this because I was saying the other day, a couple of weeks ago, a while ago, is that everyone should have a bass. You can't have half a dozen guitars and no bass. Everyone get a bass. Everyone get a bass. My pal bought a bass, and then I got a message last week. It's like, "Do you want to buy that bass off me?" It's like he's never even touched it. So it's like you call it a super bass. So it's like a P bass, like you see what a super strat is compared to a strat. Kind of what this is. So you get like a PJ combination, a wee bit like the Duff McKagan bass actually. So you get no scratch plate, PJ pickups, 2 volumes and a tone, sort of jazz bass layout, pointy headstock, angled back headstock, and like a speed neck, you would call it. I mean, the reason I don't have this is because I couldn't buy it off him. I'm just going to sell it for him. Is because it's too similar to my Fernandez, which I bought not that long ago. Plus, I ended up buying a bass last week as well. Came the other day. I've got too modern for me anyway. So I think these are about mid 90s, 96, 97, 98, something round about there. So vintage. But the pointy headstock thing, I think, probably would put people off. It's also very similar. In fact, it's almost exactly the same bass as my white Aria rock device, apart from it's got 2 P bass pickups and the jazz bass pickup. It's a very similar, maybe sort of its era. It's 87, so this is maybe 10 years later, maybe not. But it's got a very thin neck this way. It's nice and wide, but good P bass. So playing through the Marshall 150. I'm still complaining about my sore shoulder. My finger's still numb. Still get pins and needles in my pointy finger. I wonder what I've done. I think I've maybe trapped a nerve or something. So basically it's a P bass with a slightly more metal neck on it. And I suppose the jazz bass pickup, which, let's be honest, I think the PJ combination came in the 80s when synthesizers started being a big thing in like pop music. So you'd end up, because the synth can take up entire low frequencies. If you've ever tried playing with someone who's trying to play bass on a mono synth and you're trying to play bass, you need the treble pickup so you can padoink up. You know, think Duran or something. That's what you need that for, and both of them on. No, maybe actually there's a wee that goes on there. So I'm not actually 100% sure whether this is a Japanese or a Korean one. Serial number 104. Doesn't say anything. Doesn't say made in Japan on it, which quite a lot of the time means it's. I'm saying that my Fernandez bass doesn't say made in Japan on it, and then if I managed to find it, it's only in the Japanese catalogue, so it's got to be. But it doesn't feel cheaper than the Japanese ones. It seems it's good. So it could be very well be a Tushin built guitar, because Tushin stopped making Hondos. Was it Hondos? No. Tushin basically made nothing but Jacksons for the 90s. I don't think they pretty much didn't make anything else. I think I should maybe just try playing about with it. I've got a couple of guitars that are PJ. I'm trying to think, I honestly don't even know whether the wee Fernandez I've got, because it's short scaled. It's got a very thin fingerboard. The strings are dead close together, so it kind of feels more like a guitar. I can't even remember whether it's got a jazz bass pickup in it or not. I'm more used to just having the P bass. That's all you need. And actually looking at it as well, like these basses, it's the P bass is the wrong way around. Normally the P bass, the bassier one, is on this side, and then the treble strings one is closer to the bridge. Whereas those ones, I don't know when that started. Like a normal P bass has, one pickup here, and then the other one here. Whereas this one pickup here and one pickup here. It's that way instead of that way. Whether it makes a difference, I couldn't possibly tell. Or some rhythm bass. So for demo purposes, maybe when you're playing it through a guitar amp with a light fuzz pedal, lots of people do that. So again, it's kind of a bit of a shame this doesn't have like a Fender headstock on it, because if it did, it would be worth twice as much money, because more people would just go, what, a P bass? I love a P bass for playing in my Britpop Stonesy bluesy band, whereas this it's metal. Really, perfect. But I mean, I suppose the angle back headstock probably makes some difference to tension, something like that. But good hardware, Jackson branded tuners, good high pickups and a, what do you call it, a high mass bridge, and there's not really anything else in a P bass really. You know, it's like that's it. P basses are just perfect as they are. The jazz bass pickups like an added feature that I don't think you really need. It wouldn't make any difference to me whether it had it or not. But I mean, the more sound you got, the more sound you got. I just prefer it with it. P bass pickups, all you need P bass and a tone. Down in Louisiana. But I think that deep button is maybe just too much. Better. I wonder was it set the EQ like that? It does that. The Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath does that well. That, which is kind of the way I've ended up playing recently, just because I'm in the Black Sabbath band after the end, which curtain keeps excluding the light from it. Yeah, there you go. So I've got a tendency now to do that percussive thing. So. So I gave this a wee setup just as you do. The intonation was quite out and all the strings were set flat, which is one of those things that you don't notice until you play it and you're going, what's it? It's not, what's odd here? And it's like, the strings should obviously follow the fingerboard a bit. These were just pure and it made it kind of just feel a wee bit weird. Couldn't really, if you'd got me to play it and say, what do you think of this? I would have played it and gone, what is it that's funny going on? But you can't actually tell by feel until you look at it and you go, oh. And then once I raised up the middle two strings and lowered the outer two strings a little bit, suddenly it doesn't have that funny feel anymore. So I'm going to sell this off cheap, but because my pal Ronnie, as I said, he bought it, had it for 3 weeks, something like that. Realised that he hadn't actually played it. The first time he said he'd actually played it for more than 30 seconds was when he was just putting it into the car before he brought it over to me last night. Some people just don't see the bass. I love it. I love the bass. And it's like totally P basses, as P basses tend to be. It's just brilliant. It's just a great bass. I would have absolutely no issue with this being my only bass. Totally fine. For the Sabbath band, yeah, it would be fine. musically, still, I still think that basically the only thing that's not brilliant about it is this pointy headstock. But saying that, my wee Fernandez has got a very, very similar headstock to it as well, so it's kind of, I'm used to it. It just kind of dates these things a little bit. Do you know what I mean? It's like most of these other ones, I mean, okay, these things, you know, they don't have the pointy headstocks, they're from the 80s, but they could be new, or they could be from the 60s or something, whereas as soon as it's got the pointy headstock, you go, oh, that's after 1987. You know, it's like, or whatever it was. I don't know what the first guitars to have, like the Super Strat era. But fantastic bass, brilliant. If you've got a 4-track or something like that, this is a pre-Fender, so this was when Jackson were Jackson. I think it's 2002 or 2003 that Fender got bought over. So basically, if you're buying a Jackson now, it's a Mexican Fender but with a pointy headstock, and pretty much the same. Whereas this is made somewhere else, whether it's Korea or Japan. It's like, to be honest, I'm not sure it makes that much difference, but it does to the value. If it said, if it made in Japan, not a made in Japan sticker, because you can just put a sticker on anything, but if it had it like engraved in the neck plate, it'd probably be worth twice as much. I don't know. But going by the quality of it, it feels pretty much exactly the same as that wee Fernandez and as my Aria Pro, which is similar. I was thinking about it's not really. It doesn't have this sort of. See the Jackson, they're not as rounded at the corners like a Strat is. I don't actually even have a Strat on the wall just now, but they're normally more rounded. This is a little bit more Ibanez RG, although it's just pure right angle corners. It's curved but not as much. So my pal Ronnie's bought taking one of the guitars off my Calabat, a Vantage guitar, and it was like, do you want to buy the bass? And it's like, I've got too many basses, I'd end up keeping it. So what it's somehow it's worked out that I've got this now to sell for him, and he's not giving me the money for the other guitar, so basically that's kind of what I've done. I've just traded in, even though no money's changed hands yet. So whatever I get for this will be coming off whatever the bill for the other guitar. I do quite like the fact that it's not black though. It's just got that cool slight colour with it. I'm having to show it at a slight angle and it's covered in fingerprints, but it makes it a little bit more interesting than being just black. It's like some sort of red or purple or something. Can I just put this video up on Facebook Marketplace? I can, because I mean I'm playing it. I don't think I talked that much pish at the start, so you can hear it playing, and you know you're getting a solid bass if you're looking gigging. I mean, it is a gigging bass. There's no, it's not one of those ones. Oh, it'll be sort of alright for into the studio. Fine, get into the studio, fine for live performance. It's totally a P bass, and it's a good P bass at that. And it's got good, solid bridge, high mass bridge, the good type of exo tuners, and the pickups are good as well. That's really all there is in it. There's nothing else to go wrong, and it's made of wood and wood. Rockin', catch you later.